Welcome to dojo.live, the place where top minds in travel and hospitality check in to share insights and breakthroughs shaping the industry. Brought to you by Encora, your trusted partner for AI, cloud, and data-driven innovation. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dojo Live with your host, Kim Landis, here at HITEC 2025 in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm like 99% sure I've said that wrong in some videos. It's actually harder to get out than you think. We're at the Aptech booth here with Jill Wilder, who is president, right? And it's great to have you back on Dojo Live. This is our second encounter, first time in person. So I'm so happy to be able to meet you.
Yes.
But for those people who might not know you, Jill, if you could give us some of your background, your hospitality history, and what's new, your role at Aptech.
I shouldn't give it up, but actually it will be my 39th year at Aptech next month. So it's I'm proud to be the president. It's a great organization. We've been in the hospitality industry my entire career. I started back in the support department and built that up, and have now worked to be the president. Aptech's most exciting news in the past year has been the fact that we were acquired by Jonas Software, which has now offered us many more opportunities to offer our customers and the hospitality industry more products specific for them. So it's an exciting time for us. We're still in the transition, but we're expecting great things. So
I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's exciting. I look forward to everything that you're able to come up with. We're going to talk about some of these newer innovations as well. But first, something that I've kind of noticed on my own show when I come to places like HITEC and elsewhere, to me, it feels like it's the guest-facing technology that's kind of grabbing the spotlight, grabbing the headline lately. And I think it makes sense. It's fun. It's exciting. It's what even we tend to experience, right, as individuals. But I'm curious as to what, tends to keep, because what I guess I should say is, what's curious to me is that I don't think necessarily that it's the guest facing part that that keeps hoteliers up at night.
Right.
It's more like, how do I do this, and how do I keep the lights on, and how do I run my operation? So I know it's not this flashy tech, but curious as to what's happening in the industry, why you think it is that it's pushing that way, and how we might be able to shift it back maybe more to a in-house kind of back of house.
Yeah, coming from the accounting side, we compare it to a furnace in your house. So if the furnace doesn't work properly, no matter how fancy that house is,
nobody wants to be inside. Unless it's summer.
Exactly. But I think that plays the accounting side is the strength and the importance of everything. So that guest-facing technology is the flash and the pretty stuff, the sizzle, but it feeds the furnace, and it makes everything consistent and work properly. So that's kind of how Aptech looks at it. So we like to supplement, and as flashy as you can get in accounting is probably the dashboards and things that we offer in our product. So that's the flash that we try to give the accounting team.
I love it. And talking about that, let's shift to kind of what it is that you're unveiling.
Sure.
It's my understanding you've got a new product, TVNG. My assumption is that's an acronym.
Yeah, it stands for Target View Next Generation.
All right.
The same way as I said, we were in the accounting industry forever. Our product on the accounting side is PVNG. Our core product was Profit View, so we named it PVNG, and then now with TVNG. The biggest change to TVNG is it is a step-by-step process. So it's very, very simple. Minimal training can get anyone through the toughest of budgets and forecasts. And that was what we wanted to accomplish.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a little bit in terms of like what challenges are hoteliers facing when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to forecasting, and what needs to be addressed.
Change. That's the biggest and most difficult part for them. So as things change, and there's many, many things that change. It could be the economy. It could be some horrible event that happens. It could be something great that's suddenly coming to your city. As all those things change, the finance group has to accommodate and has to be able to supply those managers and owners with the most accurate information they possibly can. So forecasts are live. They're not something like budgets tend to be, this is what we plan to do based on all the knowledge that we have today. Forecasts are living and breathing, and they're constantly changing. And so This tool gives people the ability to try out some of those changes, to see what impact that'll have on their overall business. Everything from what they're spending to the staff in-house, and who needs to serve. How many servers do they need in the restaurants and things like that. So the goal was to provide something that was simple, that they could do a lot of what ifs and changes to. So they need to think of their forecast as something that's living and breathing, that they can use all the time, rather than something you do once and put on the shelf like your budget. Yeah.
Interesting. Super interesting. Talking about change, one of the
Mhm.
things that I noticed, you were also talking about being intuitive, right?
Yes.
In the TVNG announcement is you call it the non-Excel interface.
Yes.
That still integrates with
Yes.
Excel. So I think it's super nuanced. Tell me why that balance is important, and what does it sort of say about where financial technology, particularly in hospitality, is evolving?
Yeah. Well, everybody feels great with Excel. I mean, and a finance person lives and breathes and eats in Excel. That's just what they live with. But realistically, Excel is not the best tool for standardization and keeping things uniform. So we have to give you the best of both worlds. We're giving you the world of being able to view things in Excel and look at things if you want to in Excel, so you feel comfortable, but also allowing that accuracy and standardization to occur in that intuitive approach that we have to it. Excel's not easy for a rooms director to use, or someone else that's maybe a chef that has to plan or forecast. It's not as easy as a finance person, and they get confused by the formulas and things. So this tool guides them, and then the finance person can see the result of what they did in Excel.
And I remember from our previous conversation too, if people aren't comfortable using Excel and there's formulas there, you run the risk of accidental edits.
Yes. Invalid numbers. Yeah.
All right. So this is an easy way to prevent that
from
happening.
It gives you the best of both worlds.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Talking about change and kind of this change management do you anticipate any resistance in moving away from like the traditional Excel heavy workflow? And if so, how are you as a company supporting that kind of adoption, and not just the adoption, but into the activation phase? Because I understand that also that partnering and that support is something that's very important to you.
Oh yeah. Support is critical to us. It is probably the number one thing that we provide. And Excel is valuable, but it has its right place. It doesn't. We need to kind of get out of that world, because there's just too much of a chance of error and things like that. So I think that people like it and it has its place, but I think there's better ways to accomplish what they need to accomplish.
Right.
So, and that's what we're doing. So all of our tools integrate beautifully with Excel, but the proper work is done within the tool, that we can also control how we're delivering that option to the end user, much better than you can do that in Excel.
So. Interesting. Another thing that I found was really interesting was what you were calling the the ability to put the rationale behind the financial decisions. I would like you to kind of tell us why, first and foremost, that is powerful.
Yeah.
And then correct me if I'm mistaken. Right now, I understand that to be more of the human rationale, like a note-taking kind of capacity. And I'm curious if this is a space where maybe you're seeing AI applications and let the AI do the rationale for me and guide the path as well.
Absolutely. And that kind of feeds also into the whole business intelligence world as well. So people need to concentrate on the exceptions and not the things that are just occurring every day. So our goal here is really to get finance people into the decision-making capability and not into the generation of the numbers. So by using AI to help with some of those anomalies, you can instantly guide your eyes to the exceptions rather than to the things that you don't need to worry about. So yes, AI, exception highlighting, that can definitely help to streamline the process and allow the decision makers to make better decisions rather than being the ones to generate the report or deliver the information. Now they're actually getting to analyze what's going on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is that also helping in like the reception of the information that people are being
Absolutely.
presented with?
As soon as they see that, they realize that that puts them way ahead of just looking at the standard flat report.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have any examples or any kind of success that or is it too early to kind of talk
It's kind of a little early to talk
We'll
about
have to come
that.
back.
Yeah.
Give
We'll
me a
do
ti-
something
Give me a
special.
time frame, Joe. Time frame, Joe. When are you going to be back on dojo live? I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you. So, in our last conversation, you talked about sort of, I'll call the three-legged stool, I
Yeah.
suppose, where you were describing forecasting, accounting, as well as business intelligence as
Mhm.
important tools in the kind of accounting
Finance
pillars.
world. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So let's talk about that a little bit and why it's important to have that integrated kind of
Sure.
approach rather than this.
Yeah.
This is one of the words that everybody hates, silo.
I know. Data is very good in silos and it has a purpose. And data sources are very limited to what information they have in that silo. When you start to mesh that information together, unique pieces pop up. They start to look and you start to see trends and things in your information that you maybe were not aware of. For instance, say you have two similar hotels. One has a cost of linen that is much higher than the other, and it shouldn't be. But now you can take a look and see what that is because that's bubbled up and looked at that. If you didn't have the information from various sources to bring that together, you would never be aware of that. So that's why it's so important to take the data, bring it all together, and do comparisons so you can find exceptions and find out where improvements can be made. Yeah.
Nice. I think to wrap up, we were talking about trends, we were talking about comparisons, we're talking about exceptions. I'm curious as to what you think is an interesting trend, and not just on the popular side. Maybe if you have any that are kind of flying under the radar that you wish or hope or think people should definitely be paying more attention to right now.
I won't necessarily say it's a trend, but I think it's something people have talked about, but they're not paying attention to. And that's this new USALI 12th edition. Everybody keeps saying, I'll get to that in December. I'll get to that in December. But realistically, we all need to be budgeting and forecasting using the new format. And it's going to come around quicker than we all think. And I think that we need to turn the spotlight on that. We're one of two vendors that have already been certified in the USALI chart. We have it embedded in all of our products. And I want people to be aware that that needs to be happening sooner versus later because panic's going to come and then it's year end and everybody's got to get things done. And, that's something. So it's not really a trend. But it's definitely something that I think people need to pay more attention to.
Absolutely. And it goes in line with what was going to be one of my last questions is that practical move that hotels can make right now, right?
That's it.
To improve operational.
Yeah. And our team's there to help people to make those changes to their reports and things like that. They have the knowledge. We have people that are certified on it. So I think that that's the biggest thing they can concentrate on from the back of the house between now and the next couple of months.
All right. Well, thank you. And that leads me to, if people do want to talk to Miss Jill Wilder to learn more about Aptech or see how they can get that help, what's the best way to go about doing that?
There's two ways. They can go to our website, which is the www.aptech-inc.com, or they're more than welcome to call us at 800-245-0720 because someone always is there to answer the phone.
Phone is not dead.
I know.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Jill. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Here at HITEC.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and bye for now.